The girl who dreamed of standing still. I remember the day I met her because it was the same day everything else ended. She was sitting alone in the front yard of the neighboring house, legs tucked beneath her, watching the moving truck with quiet intensity. In her arms was a filthy stuffed animal, once white, now the color of old bone, clutched tight against her chest. The wind tugged at her long, pale hair, but she didn't brush it away. She didn't seem bothered by much of anything. In hindsight, it feels inevitable. Two broken children meeting in a place where broken things were meant to stay hidden. That was the day I moved in with my great-aunt Mara on the edge of a dying town called Redfield Crossing. It was all cornfields and sagging fences, a place so far removed from everything that even grief felt louder there. It was far from the life I'd known, even farther from the empty house left behind after my parents died. Aunt Mara took me in because there was no one else left to do it. She showed me around her house with quiet efficiency, narrow hallways, shelves packed with old keepsakes, cabinets filled with things that smelled like dust and time. When she led me to my room, it was almost bare. One bed, one antique dresser, my few boxes stacked in the center like they didn't belong. Before she left me alone, she said only two things. "You look just like my brother," and "Drunk drivers don't get forgiven." Then she closed the door. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the boxes, unsure if opening them mattered. Losing your parents young does something to you. It sharpens the world while dulling you at the same time. In the weeks of hushed conversations and closed doors before the move, I'd already wondered if there was a reason I was still here at all. That was when something tapped my window. At first, I thought I imagined it. The house was silent in a way that pressed in on you. No toys, no television, just the quiet hum of isolation. But then it happened again. A pebble struck the glass. When I finally worked up the nerve to look, I saw the girl from next door standing below the window. She froze when our eyes met, one hand lifted with another stone, the other cradling the stuffed animal against her ribs. I opened the window. She dropped the pebble and stepped closer, standing on her toes. "My name's Lila," she said. "Why are you here?" "I just moved in. My parents died." She nodded like that made sense. "My mom left when I was little. Do you want to be friends?" I didn't understand the bruises on her arms then. I didn't understand the heaviness behind her smile. But I understood one thing clearly. We became friends. Lila didn't talk much, neither did I. We spent most days in her yard, inventing games out of nothing. She never let me touch her stuffed animal carelessly. "It's a crane," she told me. It didn't look like one. Years of wear had warped it into something awkward and misshapen, its long neck bent permanently to one side. She said her mom gave it to her. She said cranes remember where they come from. Sometimes I asked about her father. She always looked away. He didn't come outside often. When he did, it was to shout, slow, slurred words that tangled together. I didn't know what a drunk was yet. I didn't know what abuse looked like. I just knew Lila flinched when the door opened. Aunt Mara knew. I told her about the bruises once. She told me it wasn't our place to interfere, but sometimes she'd invite Lila over when her father was asleep. Sometimes she'd slip her baked goods wrapped in napkins. Once, after seeing Lila with a split lip, Aunt Mara said quietly, "Sometimes all you can do is endure." I decided then that if they could keep smiling, maybe I could too. School didn't help. The other kids whispered about Lila's clothes, about my parents, about things they didn't understand. Teachers intervened, nothing changed, but at the end of every day, we had each other. At night, when things were bad, I'd hear a pebble against my window. We'd sneak out and cross the shallow creek behind our houses, slipping through trees until we reached a patch of corn that never grew right, a dead space, our secret place. We lay beneath broken stalks and talked about dreams. I told her about the ones where my parents were still alive. She told me about hers. She dreamed she was a crane. Not flying at first, standing. She said she stood somewhere high, legs long enough that nothing below could reach her. She didn't have to run. She didn't have to hide. She only had to wait. If she waited long enough, she said, the world would sort itself out. I believed her. The summer I turned 13, everything changed.
It was hot. The creek was swollen from rain. Aunt Mara suggested we swim. When she went back inside, Lila told me to turn around. When I looked again, she'd taken off her shirt and laughed as she ran. I didn't understand what I felt, just that it was new. Then her father appeared. He dragged her from the water by her hair, called her things I didn't understand. He tore up her drawings, destroyed the stuffed crane. When Aunt Mara came out screaming, he slapped Lila and dragged her inside. I sat there shaking, holding what was left of the toy. That night, the storm came, and so did the pebble. Lila stood outside my window, soaked and shaking, her face ruined on one side. She said it didn't hurt anymore. She asked me for a bottle from Aunt Mara's cabinet. I didn't ask why. When I came back, she was waiting. She kissed my cheek. "You're my best friend." Then she left. When the pebble came again, we ran, across the creek, into the corn. I noticed the drag marks too late. At our secret place, she hugged me. Above us, the stars burned cold and bright. She thanked me for coming. That's when I saw her father, bound, gagged, dying. And behind her, the crane, enormous, pale, still. It did not rush, it did not threaten. It waited. Lila stepped forward and touched its bill. Then her neck began to lengthen. Bones shifted with soft clicks. Her jaw did not split. It was pushed forward, reshaped. Feathers forced their way through skin along her back. Wings unfolded slowly, deliberately, tearing free behind her shoulders. Her legs went last. They snapped backward and lengthened, joints reforming as she took her first unsteady step away from her own ruined body. She did not scream. The larger crane moved once, and it was enough. Her father never saw it. When it was over, mother and daughter stood together, silhouettes against the rising sun. I watched them unfold their wings, and with one slow, powerful motion, they were gone. I'm older now. I have a family. But sometimes at night, I look up at the stars, and I don't imagine her flying away. I imagine her standing somewhere very high, very still, remembering everything.
If the story stayed with you, let it be known. Like, share, subscribe. Tell us what you saw.